Alex Thompson had always known the ocean was a force not to be trifled with. For 30 years, he'd lived in a modest wooden cottage on the rugged Hawaiian shoreline, a structure built in the old island way elevated on sturdy pilings, with flexible joints that swayed with the wind and waves rather than fighting them. At 35, Alex was a marine biologist by trade, spending his days studying coral reefs and tidal patterns, his nights listening to the rhythmic crash of surf that lulled him to sleep. But one fateful morning, as he sipped his coffee on the porch, a convoy of sleek black SUVs roared up his sandy driveway, shattering the peace. Leading the pack was Sophia Reynolds, the iron-fisted president of the Seashore Estates Homeowners Association. She stepped out in a crisp white suit, flanked by lawyers and contractors, her eyes scanning Alex's home like it was a blight on her perfect vision. "Mr. Thompson," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "this shack of yours doesn't meet our standards. We're transforming this stretch into an exclusive resort community. Luxury villas, private beaches, the works. We'll relocate you generously, of course." Alex felt a surge of anger boil in his chest. This wasn't about standards. It was about money, power, and the entitlement of the ultra-wealthy who thought they could buy paradise and bend it to their will. He'd built his home with his own hands, respecting the land and sea. Now, these outsiders wanted to erase it for their playground. "This is my land," he replied calmly, though his fists clenched. "Passed down from my grandparents. You can't just bulldoze history." Sophia's laugh was sharp, dismissive. "History? This eyesore is a violation waiting to happen. Comply within 30 days, or we'll see you in court." As the convoy departed, kicking up dust, Alex knew the battle had begun. What he didn't anticipate was how dirty it would get. The harassment started subtly, but escalated fast. Construction crews descended like locusts, their bulldozers and jackhammers roaring from dawn till dusk, drowning out the ocean's whisper. They blocked his driveway with equipment, forcing him to hike through dunes just to get home. Waste from their site's plastic debris, chemical runoff spilled onto his property, poisoning the soil he'd nurtured. Petty citations piled up, fines for unkempt yard despite the natural vegetation, demands to repaint his house in approved colors, even complaints about his mailbox being an inch off regulation. Alex didn't panic. Methodical as ever, he documented everything. Photos of the encroaching machinery, measurements of noise levels that violated local ordinances, soil samples showing contamination. He logged dates, times, witnesses. It was science against greed, and he was arming himself for war. One evening, poring over coastal maps in his dimly lit cottage, Alex made a breakthrough. The HOA's construction was encroaching on a protected buffer zone federal land meant to shield against erosion and storms. Regulations were clear: no building within 100 feet of the high tide line. Yet their foundations were digging in, disrupting fragile ecosystems. He collected water samples laced with pollutants, cross-referenced with satellite imagery. Anonymously, he filed complaints with the Department of Land and Natural Resources, the EPA, and county officials. The inspector arrived unannounced, a stern woman in khakis who halted the site immediately. "This is a clear violation," she declared, citing fines that could bankrupt the project. Sophia stormed over to Alex's porch that night, her face twisted in fury. "You think you're clever, hiding behind anonymous tips? This isn't over. You'll regret crossing me." But Alex was just getting started. Digging deeper, he uncovered the HOA's web of deceit: shell companies funneling funds, backroom deals with corrupt officials, even tax evasion schemes that hid millions. Sophia's family, led by her father Robert Reynolds, a notorious real estate tycoon, had a history of steamrolling communities for profit. Alex leaked documents to investigative journalists, sparking whispers of scandal. Sophia retaliated viciously. Under cover of night, her crews chainsawed his ancient coconut palms, claiming they obstructed views. They poured concrete barriers on the public beach, blocking access and turning it into a private enclave. Rumors spread like wildfire. Alex was unstable, a hermit hoarding secrets, maybe even dangerous. Fabricated complaints led to police visits, each one chipping at his resolve. Neighbors who'd once waved hello now avoided him, fearing association with the troublemaker. In his darkest hour, an old college roommate reached out. Ethan Carter, now a sharp environmental lawyer, had been following the story. "Alex, I've got beef with the Reynolds clan," Ethan confessed over a crackling phone line. "Robert ruined my family's fishing business years ago, bribed officials to seize our docks for one of his developments. I've been building a dossier on them. Fraud, bribery, falsified environmental reports, intimidation tactics. Let's take them down." Together, they formed an unlikely alliance. Ethan provided damning evidence: emails showing payoffs, altered permits, witness testimonies from former employees who'd been silenced. They confronted Sophia at a HOA meeting, laying out the charges like a prosecutor's closing argument. "This is racketeering," Ethan boomed. "We'll see you in federal court." The room erupted in chaos, supporters jeering, doubters murmuring. The HOA countersued for defamation, harassment, anything to bleed them dry. Legal fees mounted, but Alex and Ethan pressed on, fueled by a burning sense of justice. As the case dragged, Ethan unearthed something explosive: geological surveys from the 1970s revealing the area had been ravaged by a massive tsunami in 1975, wiping out everything in its path. The zone was high risk, with cycles recurring every 50 to 75 years. Recent data showed warning signs: subtle seismic tremors, erratic tides, schools of fish fleeing deeper waters. The next big one was overdue. Sophia knew. She'd hired a shady consultant to produce fake safety reports, doctoring hazard maps to lure investors. Disinformation campaigns painted the risks as alarmist myths, while she sold $120 million mansions to oblivious elites. Alex tried warning the community flyers, town hall speeches, but Sophia's PR machine branded him a doomsayer, an eco-terrorist sabotaging progress. "He's just bitter," she sneered in interviews. "Wealth creates jobs. He clings to the past." Undeterred, Alex prepared. He reinforced his cottage with traditional Hawaiian Techniquest lashings of rope, thatched roofs that breathed with the elements. As tensions peaked, the ocean stirred. It hit at 3 a.m., a wall of water born from an undersea quake hundreds of miles away. The tsunami surged without mercy, roaring like a freight train. Alex clung to his pilings as waves battered the shore, his home flexing but holding firm. Dawn revealed the carnage. The luxury mansions, built on greed and shortcuts, crumbled like sandcastles. Foundations weakened by stripped beach sand illegally mined for construction gave way entirely. Yachts splintered, pools filled with debris, fortunes erased in hours. Residents fled in terror, their dreams of paradise shattered. Sophia stood amid the ruins, soaked and broken, screaming at the sea as if it owed her an apology. The preventable tragedy exposed her cover-up: lives endangered, properties sold under false pretenses. Controversy exploded. Media debates raged over whether the rich deserved sympathy or scorn. Was this nature's justice against the arrogant elite, or a cruel twist of fate? Alex felt no pity. He'd warned them, and they'd chosen profit over prudence. In the aftermath, federal agents swooped in. Sophia faced charges: fraud, reckless endangerment, conspiracy. Her assets were seized, her empire dismantled. Robert's legacy crumbled too, his past sins dragged into the light. Charges against Alex vanished like mist. Instead, he was hailed as a consultant for new coastal regulations, advocating for sustainable building that respected the land. The beach began to heal, dunes reforming, wildlife returning. The community, humbled, acknowledged Alex's foresight. Whispers of controversy lingered. Some called him a hero, others a vigilante who'd invited disaster by stirring the pot. But in the end, the ocean had spoken loudest, reclaiming what was always its domain. Alex stood on his porch, watching the waves roll in peacefully. Nature didn't discriminate, it simply restored balance. The lesson was clear: cheat the sea at your peril, for it remembers and repays in kind.